And we are live. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to this Monday night live version of Single and Heal. And tonight, your host is none other than me, Tyrone Morgan. Thank you for tuning in. As you enter, please like and share. We want to encourage as many people as we possibly can on this last Monday of 2022. We will soon be in a new year on our next Monday Night Live. And forgive me if my voice goes. I have been sick most of the holiday weekend, and I felt like this message need to be heard. So I'm gonna push my way through it. So my voice goes. Some people may be happy, but I hope I can make it through this tonight. So if you're coming in, please speak. We want to know how you were doing. How was your Christmas? Like I said, I was sick most of still am sick. Um, but I am thankful that I'm here to say that I'm sick because some people are not. So I just want to be thankful that I'm here the last Monday of 2022. And hopefully and prayerfully I get to see 2023 come in with a bang. Um, so it's still not too late. I'm still accepting the Christmas gifts. If you got some out there for me. Queen, how you doing? Um, who you with? Jasper, how you doing, good sir? Miss Angie, how you doing? Look, guys, I have got some great information tonight. Like I said, if you hear me cough, I just been real sick and I ain't quite over it, but I'm gonna try to push through this word because I believe that God has something in store for all of us tonight. So again, if you have not yet, please like and share. Um, Make sure you tell somebody about it. Tag them in the comments. Angie, how you doing? I am well because I'm alive, but I do feel bad. But anyhow, so our topic for the month has been, and I don't want to wait. As a matter of fact, let me pray. Lord, thank you for this day. Thank you for the opportunity to come before your people, Father. Thank you for giving me the chance to end this year with some information that I think will help people come into a clear path of who they're supposed to be in 2023, Father. So as I give this word, I pray that you open their spiritual ears and they will hear what you have to say. And it's in Jesus' name I pray. Amen. So our topic for the month has been new beginnings. And when I was asked to speak, um, I immediately got God telling me that new beginnings start with endings, which seemed kind of crazy when we're talking about new beginnings. But our new beginnings start with endings. Let's make sure we got that. Our new beginnings start with endings. So I think this is an important message to hear at the end of this year for one simple thing. You have a few more days to look within yourself and see what you need to have proper endings for. I don't want to preach to you. I want to teach you something tonight because I am a firm believer that renewing your mind will help you in every part of your life, especially your spiritual part. Um, so remember, our topic is new beginnings start with endings. So I want to make sure we keep this theme in our mind. Um, I believe that our new beginnings never start like we want them to because we never deal with ending our old ways well. And this is what I mean. I think our biggest problem is we love to hold on to old ways because they are so familiar. And even though we know that they're killing us on the inside, we just so comfortable with them things. Remember that. A lot of times we don't end things well before we start things. We love new beginning, but don't like to end anything. And the biggest part of our not ending anything is because it becomes so familiar, we're used to it, and we'd rather deal with something we're used to than start something that we're not. But tonight, I say with a great big smile, all of that is going to come to an end. I believe after God gives this word to you, you will understand what you need to do in your next few days before you come into 2023. So I believe there are 3 A's to endings: acknowledgement, acceptance, and assurance. And before I even get into it, we're gonna spend a whole lot of time on acceptance. That's what's gonna be my stand still point is acceptance. So acknowledge is that you know that it needs an end. How many of us are in cycles or in things that we know need to end, but we will not end it? I can name several things about me that I know I need to end that I have not ended. Just because I have acknowledged it don't mean that I have accepted it, which is my next step. Acceptance is by us that it has to end. And I ain't gonna get into it right this second, but we're gonna spend a lot of time on acceptance because I think acceptance is the biggest reason why we stay stuck and stagnant and where we're at. Excuse me, sorry. Um, and the last one I said was assurance. Assurance that endings do bring new beginnings. So I want to dig in this a little bit, and like I said, we're gonna spend a lot of time on acceptance because I think that's our biggest hang up. So acknowledgement is the key for endings. If we never acknowledge anything, we never think it needs to end. But I found out one of the things about our new beginnings and why they're not sustainable is because we never accept the ending. I found that new beginnings are not sustainable because we never fully accept the ending of the thing before we start a new thing. If we feel, listen, if we feel, I need you to get this, if we feel someone owe us something, we have not accepted the end. No one owes us anything. It's a nice concept for us to believe that somebody owes us something, but that is really rooted in a victim mentality. What it basically tells me is that I have given someone else authority over my life to do whatever they want because I have not accepted that things need to come to an end. Let it sink in. Make sure you understand it. Tonight, I want to teach you because I want you to go into 2023 with this thing that everybody let us say, new year, new me. It's not because you will not accept endings well. So what I found out about not accepting endings is we carry baggage from one place to the next that we never intended to carry. We need to learn to leave things where they are. So when we get out of something and start something new, we need to leave that baggage behind. And most of the time we will not. So what I found out with me is sometimes we gotta let things die. I think we think death is always a bad thing, but sometimes you have to let things die. And our refusal to let things die is keeping us from a new beginning. Even in our physical deaths, there is a new beginning. So death is not always a bad thing for us, especially us as believers. And if we follow Christ, we know that there's several things, and throughout his life, he sacrificed many things, and we're going to have to do the same thing. And so I want us to learn to sacrifice our I want us to learn to sacrifice our will, which is to carry something from one relationship to the other or one area to the other without ending that thing. End it, kill it, let it die, whatever it is. And like I said, I'm gonna get a little more into that because I really think acceptance is our biggest problems. So I want you to know what assurance is because I'm gonna spend a very short amount of time on assurance. Assurance is that no matter what you think or feel, we will be able to begin new. That's your assurance that anything that you end well, a new beginning is assured by us. Just have to keep that in our mind because I think in the end of 2022 that we need to make sure that we understand that things will be okay. We will be all right with our new beginnings. But we cannot forget we have to start new beginnings with endings. So this is the part I really want to dig a lot into because I think we struggle with this a lot as a people. Um, Acceptance. So how many of us have a problem with acceptance? Don't raise your hands. Just think. Um, I think acceptance of endings is a stumbling block for our new beginnings. And since this is called Single and Heal, I believe I want to talk to my singles tonight. Yeah, I'm gonna get on y'all tonight because I really think that some of us are holding up things that God has for us because we have not ended things that we should, and we don't end well. Listen to me. Learn to end well. All right. So we're gonna dig into this. So I want to talk about relationships. I think a lot of the reason why our new relationships don't work is because we never completely ended our old ones. We still carry hurt, betrayal, resentment from them other relationships. So let's remember this. I don't think new relationships work because we never end our old ones. Because we still carry hurt, betrayal, and resentment. And bitterness has become our portion. Listen, I know it's a hard thing to do for us as singles, even as Christians at times, is to learn to let go of things that have been in the past. But we cannot continue to carry this thing around from year to year. And I'm probably getting ahead of myself, but um, I think when we don't forgive people or we still operate in hurt or betrayal, we can never get what we're seeking because we're always speaking against what we're seeking. We always saying what we don't want and what we're not putting up with. And I actually think it should be the exact opposite. So when you always speaking what you don't want, to me, you speaking from a place of bitterness. Because we're taught to speak what we're seeking. But most of us are always telling somebody what we don't want. I'm not going to put up with that. I don't want that. I don't need that. Speak what you see. And if you're speaking always against what you don't want, that means you are dealing with a place of hurt and bitterness, and you need to end that before you try to start something. So another thing I want, again, I'm speaking to my singles tonight. So you got somebody single that you think need to hear this, help them out. Please share it with them. And so something else that I believe the reason you can't experience new beginnings is because you still bitter and mad. And I'm talking about unprocessed grief or trauma will always lead to the root of bitterness. Bitterness causes us to see the world as bystanders, watching life happen to us instead of us making life happen. That's what I want to say. And I want to know, we still talking about new beginnings. I believe as long as we walk around, and a lot of us do, with unprocessed grief, because this is called single and heal, and we need to be healed. And if you walk around with unprocessed grief and trauma, things that you have dealt with in your past when you was a child, or bad relationships, or even if you are the cause of somebody else's trauma and grief, we need to learn how to deal with that, because them roots of bitterness causes us to never be able to truly start a new beginning. And part of the reason why we can't experience love is because we still holding on to stuff that we should have killed in the past relationship, but we keep trying to carry that baggage from one relationship to the next. And so instead of us finding what we really need, we always finding what we always had with just a different name. Bitterness is something nobody wants to be around. I'm just telling you. And nobody wants to be around somebody that is bitter because it always dampens the mood. I guarantee you, everybody knows somebody who complain about something all the time. And just the root of that is they never ended stuff well. And they become bitter and mad and upset with the people that's around them in their life. So they can never experience love. And the love that they do experience is so toxic, it does no good to anyone around. So not only are you struggling with experiencing love, now you're only used to toxic love. So your life never becomes whole and you never can have a new beginning. New beginnings always start with a new mindset. And that's what I'm talking to you about tonight. That's why I want to teach you about how to come up to new mindsets. I know we We like to shout, we like to jump, but nobody likes to transform their mind. And that's the one thing that God has charged us with, renewing our mind. Romans 12:2. We are in charge of renewing our mind. And you only renew your mind when you look at your life and see what you've been thinking about to get you to the point that you're at now. Remember, we are talking about new beginnings. And everybody loves them. We love to make New Year's resolutions about things. And we have no intentions of keeping them because we start off with great big hopes and no plan. Great big hopes and no mindset change. And that stuff never works. And you cannot be single, because I found out that if you don't, you can never find nothing that you cannot define. Let me say that again. You can never find nothing you can't define. And most of the time, with us dealing with love, we have our own definition of what it is and what it looks like. And that's why we can never find it. I'm a Christian. I believe in, this is way off my notes, but I do believe that God, the definition that my instruction manual gives, the Bible, is what I should see and see love in. And so that's what I think we all should do. We have an instruction manual, and it teaches us how to deal with ending things well and starting things well. And if we don't end well, when we start something, eventually there's going to be a red light flashing. This reminds me of this. This reminds me of that. But it's all because you have not taken the time to heal. So quit complaining and quit seeking something that you're not ready for, and deal with you. Find out what you take and ask God, what do you need? And once God starts showing you, it's easy to see what you need in a mate. So let's take the time. And I know you don't want to sit still. You used to be in a relationship, but that's something else. If you need somebody else to make you feel good about you, you don't like you. I'm sorry, but you got to end that. Leave this in 2022, because in 2023, we want something different. And you're going to think your way out of it. You're not going to just be able to talk. You're going to have to think your way out of it. And when you start thinking, you will start moving different. Let me get back to my notes because I'm way off of them. But I feel like a lot of times we get stuck in areas because we don't never deal with the rejection and the abandonment issues of our past. And when you don't deal with them, your ears become tuned to the frequency of what abandonment and rejection looks like. Basically, what I'm saying is, you always think somebody is against you. You always think people don't like you. You always saying stuff like, that's why I don't fool with other people. That's why my circle is small. I get all that. But a lot of that is based on trauma. Because listen, no matter what you say or what you think, we were created for a relationship. Check your instruction manual. We were created for a relationship. And so what has happened, you have put the wrong people in the wrong place, and they have made you bitter. And instead of you learning from your mistakes, you always want to blame everybody and put them in a box and put everybody in a box that I can't trust. You got to change that, because I'm telling you, God is not going to give you a son or his daughter if you can't trust them. If you can't talk to people, tell people how you feel. You're not ready for a relationship because they are not simple. I know we love Facebook pictures and everything and stuff that we paint the world as perfect. But anybody that I talk to and that's married, I always saying that relationships are always give and take. You know, I think we go through our wedding vows and we look at them as, we always look at the best. We don't never think better or for worse. We think better or for better. As soon as it becomes hard, you ready to leave because you never loved that person like you thought you did. And I'm talking about new beginnings, and I don't know why I'm digging into us so bad about relationships, but I just feel led to do it. So I want us singles to become educated in this time. I know you think you do a lot of work, but this is the thing. Most of us don't never work on relationships of the opposite sex. When we see other women, I try to learn to treat women different. I want to treat them like I would want to treat my wife to a point, because it helps me teach. It teaches me how to deal with them or interact with them on a different level. And I think even with men, when you're around men, if you can't respect a man that you don't know, What are you showing God that you'll be able to respect your husband? If you can't treat a woman well or with respect when you're not married, what is showing God that you can treat your wife that way? So we have to start practicing these things. We have to make things more logical and quit making things so hard for ourselves, especially as singles. And I'm on this tonight because I'm one of us. But I want you to think different because you always want something new. But you gotta start, you gotta end something old first. So I don't know where I'm at on my notes. Let's see. Okay, so we'll start here because I want to make sure that we understand something. I think when people really truly know who they are, they're never intimidated by somebody else. So if you intimidated by other people, you may want to build some security in who God says you are first. Finding out who you are. End with being insecure around people. The one thing that I know that I'm not for everybody. I completely understand that, and I've come to the grips and I accepted that. But I am for who I'm for, and I'm not for who I'm not. If you if we get away, God said you're called to a people. He didn't say all. Take the two letters off. Take the two L's off. You called to a people, not all. Everybody's not going to accept you. Everybody ain't like the way you do things, and that's perfectly fine. Somebody who's secure in who they are, they're fine with that. And I'm not talking about your toxicity that you find with no, you don't care what nobody think about you. No, I just want you to know and realize that everybody's not going to rock with what you do and ain't going to like the way you do it. So let's keep that in mind also. And I think a lot of times we deal with a lot of rejection because people don't accept who we are in the way we want them to accept us. So let's learn to deal with that in a way that you end things well. And again, remember, I'm talking about our mindset, and I'm talking about new beginnings start with endings. So we are going to end all this toxic behavior this year because I want you to sit home and I want you to think about the stuff that you've been dealing with over the years and seeing how we can end it. One of the most powerful things that I've seen, and I made a mental note of this, is I'm not perfect. I know that's a surprise to the people that's watching, but I'm not perfect. And just in case you didn't know it, you're not perfect, nigga. There are things about us that people will not like. And once I came to the realization that I don't have to be perfect, God accepts me for who I am. It really helped me dealing with other people not accepting me. But you have to learn to accept that you're not perfect. You are not always sort of. We are not always right. I heard somebody tell me one time, you can be right but still be wrong. And excuse me, that has never left me because I really think the root of that is that you can be right, but in the way you do it or the way you say it, it still can be wrong. And even with at that time, if you're not thinking about somebody else, you can still be wrong by the way you address it. So let's make sure we get that. Let's make sure we accept we got red flags. I say this a lot, but most of us think we're perfect. And every relationship that we've been through was somebody else's fault. That's simply not the case. We played a part in it somehow, some way, some fashion. So accept that about you, that you are not perfect. So I'm getting back to my butterfly thing. So in order for a caterpillar to become a butterfly, it has to come to the end of being a caterpillar first. Like butterfly can't have a caterpillar mindset. A butterfly has to go into a metamorphosis, which is changing from one state to another. And in order for him to change, his mindset has to change while he's in there. So caterpillars crawl, butterflies fly, a different mode of transportation. But they can't think that they got to crawl everywhere to get where they're going. It's really, the caterpillar is an immature state of a caterpillar. Same thing with a tadpole and a frog. They're two different, one is immature stage and one is an adult stage. And I think a lot of us suffer because we stay in our immature stage. And what is an immature stage? An immature stage is a lack of self-awareness and acceptance of who you are. I think a lot of us think a lot higher of ourselves than what we really are. And I think as soon as you start realizing that, then God will open your eyes up to your mate. Because if you think you perfect, you're gonna expect somebody else to be that and fill out all your little checks on your checklist. And when people don't do that, and that's why you're never comfortable with accepting anybody that may want to talk to you because you're trying to find somebody who's perfect. Remember, an immature stage and an adult stage. And as we mature in who we are, it's easier to find what you need in a mate because we become self-aware. And again, self-aware is the realization that you are not perfect. I think I've heard my pastor did a series called Perfectly Flawed. That's what I like to think about myself. I am perfectly flawed. And something, let me go here too. Listen, I know we're supposed to think high of ourselves, but all of us are not teens. I don't think of myself as a teen. I think I'm the best 6.5 that I can be. That's what I think. But I'm gonna do well with what I have. I don't speak something that's unrealistic, thinking having that mindset. But I think you can be the best version of you can be. And if that makes you think you're a teen, then so be it. But look, let's not think higher of ourselves than what we really are. Let's be more realistic. Don't be afraid to accept who you are. You know, again, we're not made for everybody. We made for a people. And I want us to start having a mindset of when we go into single seasons that we do not go through this thing with an unrealistic expectation of becoming something that we should not think other people are. Because basically what I'm saying is I don't have an expectation of somebody else that I don't have of myself. I'm a little heavy. I'm short, about 5'9". I don't, I just don't have a bunch of crazy expectations of who I can have and what I can't have. I'm more grounded. I'm more looking for, I think if we go back to our instruction manual, the Bible always speaks on character traits. And I think character traits should be more heavy in your top 5 than what you want physically. And I think if what your type has been doing for you, and if you single, it's clear that type has not worked for you. So in my mind, we need to do something different. And you'll hear me talk about this a lot. So we have to accept that what we want doing was right. And we need to pick different. And so in order to pick different, you have to sit different. That means you got to sit with yourself, learn what you love, and know what you need. A lot of us roll dice and get in relationships and hoping we're going to get what we need. And when we don't, then we're dissatisfied and think the Lord has forsaken us. When what he has been trying to do is get you to sit still to learn you by sitting still with him so you can pick better. So let's do that, it seems. And I don't want to hold y'all ear for hostage tonight, but I want us to really deal with acceptance of certain things. Have some acceptance. We have to accept who we are. And what I find out through all of this stuff that I'm talking about, it really starts with issues of our soul. And that's what I'm basically been talking about all night. Is how do we deal with our soul? And our soul, our mind, will, and emotions. And what I found out that through the acceptance phase that I was talking about, we do a lot of emotional bleeding. We do a lot of emotional bleeding. And so in physical, if you do a lot of bleeding, it leads to death. And emotionally, when you do a lot of emotional bleeding, it leads to emotional death. And then nobody can reach you. When you become emotionally dead, you really no good to anybody. So you can't find love because you're emotionally dead. You can't experience new friendships because you don't trust people. You become emotionally dead. There's a whole bunch of things that happens to us when we become emotionally dead. And then emotionally dead people are bitter people. Them the people that nobody wants to be around because you complain about everything. Because it goes back to what I was talking about earlier. The root of bitterness will always come up. Probably some of your health problems is because you are still carrying around dead weight from emotional bleeding. If you heal some of your health problems, blood pressure, diabetes, stuff like that, because a lot of us do emotional eating. We eat because there's something going on and it gives us some joy, and so we emotionally eat. So I want us to stop and think at the end of this live, because my voice is fading, but I want to make sure I reach this with you. What I found out that lets me know that I have not ended things well, it leads with a lot of frustration, a lot of anxiety, a lot of worry, resentment, and trouble. So when I see them things right there, if you got 3 of the 5, you have not ended something well. And so when you look at stuff in your life, I want you to go back and really take time. You got a couple days to go look back in your life and see what things you have not ended well, and end them things well. So if you see some frustration, some anxiety, some worry, resentment, and trouble in some areas, them are things you have not ended well. And I want you to take the time to write them things down so you can end them well. Say a prayer over them things. Ask God to help you deal with them things so you won't carry them into your new beginnings. So in the wrap up, there's some things that I found in my life that I really think that stop me from experiencing new beginnings. I think I talked about it before, but unforgiveness is a tool of destruction that we use on ourselves. Forgiveness is always for you. I know it sounds cliche, but it's a fact. Selfishness is everything is about us, and it's not. Everything is not about us. There are things that we experience that we do, and we do experience to help others, but everything is not about us. Issues of the soul. I do believe that's a big thing for all of us. I think issues of the soul keeps us from experiencing new beginnings. I know comparison and jealousy keeps us from experiencing new beginnings. And the biggest thing that's why I say issues of the soul, but being a slave to our past keeps us from experiencing new beginnings. So I'm gonna wrap all this up in one pretty little bow, and I'm gonna just tell you, the overall theme for this whole message was, in order to have new beginnings, we gotta start with endings. And I want you tonight to leave here ending something well, so you can have a new beginning. And so, I know this may have been a little random. I have not had a lot of time to really deal with everything. It's kind of been last minute stuff that God has really just dropped in my spirit that was new compared to what I had wrote down. But I hope you got something out of it. I hope that you understand that our new beginnings only start when we end things well. So let's end something well. And matter of fact, let's end this well. Let's pray. Let's ask God to help us with ending things well. So, Father, I come before you tonight, praying that everybody that listens to this and watch the replay, Father, I pray that you have spoke to something in their spirit to help them end something well, Father, so you can give them the new beginning that you have for them in their life. And Father, as we pursue you and become closer to you and see what you have for us, that the new beginnings will be worth our endings. If you remember the servant Job, he had some stuff that he had to come to an ending of. And when he came to the ending of them things, you gave him some new beginnings. And even though the new beginnings didn't replace what he lost, the new beginnings were worth the trouble of his loss. So, Father, I pray that over everybody tonight, that the new beginnings they have will make them forget the things that they have lost. And it's in Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Look, thanks for tuning in. Catch us with a moment with Single and Heal this Friday between 8 and 12. Well, before 12. Um, if you have not, please like and share this. Tag somebody in it. I want you to remember 2023 is a new beginning for us. And it's only if you choose it, only if you put the thought behind it and then put action behind the thought. So with nothing else left to say, I would like to tell everybody, peace out. Oh, and have a happy new year.